Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be beginning with Microeconomics Semester 3 course, and this is consumer theory. And the first lecture would begin as follows. First, we will look around at some preliminaries, like the things which would help us immensely in understanding what consumer theory is all about and how the various technicalities of it works about. So let's begin. So first of all, the very first thing or the very first concept we can learn about it, that if something is related to price or a price change, we will basically be talking about a price change. Let's say price of good X. It either falls. Let's take a case. Okay. Now there can happen three things or three kind of changes that can take place for good X. Normally, as the price falls, the demand increases, so it can increase, or it can remain constant, or it can fall. Okay, now we can categorize these three changes into three different types of goods. Now if price falls and the demand increases, then this good is an ordinary good. If price falls and demand remains constant, we say it is perfectly inelastic. Or a diagram for perfectly inelastic would be this one. Either price increases or decreases, the demand for X stays the same, denoted by EP equals 0. Okay, now if price falls and demand also falls, then these we call as different goods. This is a type of inferior good, which we would look upon as the course progresses further. So this was all about a price change. Now, if you want to talk about the similar thing in the lines of income change, we can see it in this manner. Now suppose income increases, we denote income by M. Now there can again happen three cases. The demand for X, it can increase, it can remain constant, and it can fall. Okay. Now if income increases, for example, your income increases, suppose, then you would normally increase your demand for cars or some kind of luxury items or some kind of normal stuff which you would like to consume more of when your income increases. We call them as normal goods. Now, if the demand remains constant when income increases, these are termed as non-linear goods. And lastly, if income increases and the demand for a particular good falls, then this is an inferior good. Now, one interesting thing is that not every good is an inferior good for all ranges of income. Suppose, for example, a person X has initial monthly income of 10,000 rupees. Okay, now suppose he has a fan, a ceiling fan at his home, and he lives with the ceiling fan. And suppose after his hard work and dedication, his income increases after 6 months, or say, let's say 7 months, and his monthly income now increases to 40,000. Okay, now he purchases an air conditioner or an AC, which we normally call as. So now income has increased, and he has increased his demand for AC. So for him, AC is a normal good, we can say. Okay. Now, suppose his income again increases to, let's say, 80,000. After 6 more months, his income increases to 80,000. Now, what he does is he does not increase his demand for fan or AC. Now, he increases demand for a vehicle. Let's say he purchases a car. Okay, from monthly savings and all, he purchases a car, and he does not purchase any fan or AC kind of thing. So now at this income level, fan is an inferior good for him. So this was one technicality of this. Okay, so these were two concepts we really need to know about. What were other changes which operate under a price change and an income change? Okay, let's move to the next concept now. So now let's talk about elasticities. Now there are two kinds of elasticities. One is own price elasticity. The other one is cross price elasticity. Okay. Now basically you would be knowing the formula, but let's write it: dq by dp into p by q. Now for cross price you would be having dqy, which is the second good, upon dpx into px upon qx. Okay, now there is a slight error here. This would be qy. Now we would be knowing that cross price elasticity, if it is positive, we have substitute goods. If increase in price of one good leads to increase in demand for other good, this leads to substitute goods. Let's write it once again. If it's negative, we have complements, and if it's zero, the goods are not related at all. Okay, now there is an interesting formula. uh, we can prove it, but it's not really required, the proof. So we can write it: relating cross price elasticity and own price elasticity, which is cross price elasticity EC equals EP, own price elasticity, minus 1 into Px into Qx upon Py into Qy. Okay, now from this we can interpret many things, like if own price elasticity of x is less than 1, so this expression becomes negative, we can see. And px into qx upon py into qy, this is always positive, so naturally ec turns negative. Okay, and negative we have complements. Now if our own price elasticity is greater than 1, this naturally leads to a positive cross price elasticity, and then we have substitutes. If own price elasticity equals to 1, you can easily see that EC equals 0, and this implies the goods are not related. Okay, cross price elasticity equals on price elasticity minus 1 into px upon px Qx upon Py Qy. So this was one more important thing. Okay, so now basically now our core syllabus would be beginning. So let's begin. Now you can refer to Varian Intermediate Microeconomics Varian book or Snyder and Nicholson book. Basically, these are the DU readings if anyone from any other university is watching, and you will be beginning with the core consumer theory from here onwards. So basically, what are ICs? Now I'm drawing a particular kind of ICs which you would be studying further in this course as we move ahead. But let's draw some indifference curve shapes. Okay, don't be confused. These are just ICs, just for introduction's purpose. Now this one has gone really weird. Should be drawing with a line. Yes, this one is perfect. Okay, these all are ICs. We have L shaped, we have rectangular hyperbola case, and as the direction of them as they move upwards. Of course, when the budget line comes into the picture, it all depends on the particular budget of the consumer. But in kind of an open sense, we say that as the IC moves upward, the utility of the consumer is increasing in this direction. Okay, we have good X as always on this axis, good Y on this axis, and like this. So these are some common shapes of ICs. You would be seeing many things about it further. So let's begin with a simple proof, which is going to be very interesting. Okay, so let's begin with marginal data substitution, or in short, we call it MRS. Okay, so let's first draw a well-behaved IC. Now, when we say well-behaved IC, uh, we what we mean by that is these are well-behaved convex ICs. Okay, now let's draw the IC. Okay, now this is one well-behaved IC, downward sloping uh, convex IC. Now we want to know that what is a marginal rate of substitution. Okay, now basically what we will be studying in consumer theory throughout is that consumer is always rational and he always performs better or makes the best choices at the margins. Okay, so let's say at the initial level consumer is consuming this bundle x1 and x2. These are two goods x1 and x2 at the price vector p1 comma p2. Now let's suppose that something changes, like maybe his taste change or his income changes or the price of some good or the quality of any good changes, and he wants to consume less of x2 and more of x1. So he moves down his difference curve and lands here from A to B. He moves downward, and the new bundle is x1 dash x2 dash. Okay, the new bundle is x1 dash x2 dash. Okay, now let us see like how can we control or how can we calculate like how much he has sacrificed of x2 to consume more of x1 at the margin. This is what marginal rate of substitution tells us. It explains like how much consumer can lose of one good to gain one additional unit of another good. Like here, consumer sacrificed some units of x2 from x2 to x2 dash to gain some units of x1 from x1 to x1 dash. Okay, so let's begin with a simple proof. Okay, basically MRS, what it means is how much of good Y. So what MRS tells us that how much of good Y we are willing to sacrifice or a consumer is willing to sacrifice to gain something, one additional unit of good X. Okay, so now let us try to derivate or derive one formula for MRS. Now let us say we have TU, which is total utility. Then we have MU, which is marginal utility. Okay, now moving forward, we know that MUX. Now what is marginal utility of X? That is change in total utility upon change in X. That is, if it, what is the marginal change in total utility by consuming one additional unit of good X, keeping Y constant. Here Y is constant. Similarly, MUY. What is MUY? Change in total utility upon change in Y. Here X is constant. We denote constant by bar. Now this implies both sides delta x into MUX equals delta T. Similarly, delta Y into MUY equals change in TU. Now, before moving forward, let us revise what an IC means. Now, indifference curves show different combinations of two goods in two good economy, which we'll be talking about, where the consumer has same utility, or those bundle of goods which gives the consumer same utility. So here, change in total utility is zero along this IC. We move from this point to this point, this point to this point, or this point to this point. The utility remains the same, although the bundles or the composition of the bundles of goods is changing. Okay. Now what we do with these equations is that we add them, and we get del x MUX plus del y MUY. Now change in total utility, both sides is 0. So we get this equals to 0. Now we get our, by algebraic manipulation, we will be getting delta y by delta x equals negative of MUX, sorry, MUX on MUY. And what is delta y by delta x? As we studied earlier, this is the MRS. Okay, so this was it. This was particularly useful formula about which that would be proving immensely useful once uh, the course gets a bit serious. Okay, now let's learn something more interesting about these ICs and MRS. So up until now, we know that an IC describes utility levels, And one more major thing is that MRS is a uh, loss in y upon loss in x, all MUX upon MUI. Of course, in well-behaved ICs, convex ICs, downward sloping, we get negative of MUX upon MUI. Now, uh, we see that the slope of IC and the curvature of IC. These are two very, very important things to understand anything about consumer theory. Okay, now if this is positive or then the curvature is convex. One second, there is a bit of an issue. Okay, so our slope of an IC can be positive, negative, or a constant. Now this slope is positive. We get a concave IC, concave shaped IC. We can imagine it such as this. Okay, if the slope is negative, we have well-behaved convex shaped IC. If slope is constant, we have a linear IC. Okay. Now for MRS form, basically what we mean is that in this is a y by x form. We will be understanding much of this in 2 or 3 more classes, but for now we see that if a positive slope IC is existing and we have a concave curvature, then the MRS is of the form x by y. If convex, the MRS is of the form y by x. Or the slope is constant, we have basically a linear MRS, and MRS is also constant. Okay, now for this class, we have this last basic concept. Now this you must have also learned in class 11 microeconomics course. This says that the optimality condition in basic to good consumer theory exists where MUX by PX equals to MUY upon PY. But trust me guys, this condition is not going to be evaluated in the final exams because the examination committee has much more important concepts or difficult or tough questions to ask. So this is not much important, but for competition's sake, we have to do it. Okay. So this was all about this class. For PDF notes, you can check out the description. Also for full syllabus notes, that would be coming around by October or November. So don't be worried about it at all. Like in semester 2, we had helped around by the channel for any notes and material. We will be helping in semester 3 also. Okay. For more micro concepts, you can check out the micro economics in 60 seconds series. The playlist of that is also attached in the description box. Thank you for watching guys. Let's meet in the next class. Thank you.